Om Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Parthaya Pratibodhitam Bhagavata Narayanena Swayam Vyasena Grathitam Purana Munina Madhye Mahabharatam Advaitamritavarshinim Bhagavatim Ashtadashadhyayinim Ambatvamanusandathami Bhagavad Gita Bhavadveshinim Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Stunvanti Divyaistavaihi Vedai Sangapadakramopanishadaihi Gayanti Yam Samagaha Dhyanavastita Tatkatena Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yoginaha Yasyantam Navidussura Suragana Devaya Tasmai Namaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha. So let us so we're going to summarize the entire third chapter today. I think it'll take us I think we'll take almost like the whole class. I was thinking of doing it a much shorter time, but I think we will do it all of the class today and leave some more time for questions. So given that, I thought let us chant some selective verses of the third chapter. So if you can just bear with me, we'll go not all of it, but just a few. So let's do the first verse. You can just follow after me. Arjuna Uvacha Jayasi Chet Karmanaste Jayasi Chet Karmanaste Mata Buddhir Janardana Tat Kim Karmani Ghore Mam Kim Karmani Ghore Ma Niyojayasi Keshava. Then let's go to the verse number 3. Shri Bhagavan Uvacha Lokesmin Dvividha Nishtha Lokesmin Dvividha Nishtha Pura Prokta Maya Nagha Pura Prokta Maya Jnana Yogena Sankhyanam Yogena Sankhyanam Karma Yogena Yoginam. Then let's go to verse number 7. Yastu indriyani manasa niyamya arabate arjuna niyamya arabhaterjuna karmendriyai karma yogam karma indriyai karma yogam asakta savishishyate. Number 20. Karmanaiva hi samsiddhim asthita janakadayah lokasangrahamevapi sampashyan kartum arhasi. Then the next one we will do is let's do is number 30. Mai sarvani karmani samyasyadhyatma cetasa nirashir nirmamo bhutva yudhyasva vigatajvaraha. Then we'll do verses number 36 and 37. Arjuna uvacha athakena prayuktoyam papam charati purushaha anichannapi varshneya baladiva niyojitaha. Shri Bhagavan uvacha kama esha krodha esha rajo guna samudbhavaha mahashano mahapapma vidhyeyanam iha vairinam. Okay. Then I think we can use the last one, number 43. Evam buddhe param buddhva samsadhyatmanatmana jahi shatrum mahabaho kamarupam durasadam. Okay, good. So this summary of the third chapter, I'm following the talk given by Swami Paramarthananda. What Paramarthananda I find is the best there is in in structuring and summarizing and making the important points and so on. He's just absolutely marvelous. I think he's even better than his teacher, Swami Dayananji. Swami Dayananji would not spend as much time in summarizing. Everybody has their own style. But Paramarthananda, and I've learned a lot from him, has really taught me that after you finish something, then structure it and summarize it, and to really grasp the meaning of it. So a lot of this comes from him. So the third chapter in some way is the crux of the Bhagavad Gita. Because the Bhagavad Gita, separate from the other Vedantic texts, is meant for householders, for the general public. Because some of the other texts in Vedanta may be meant for sannyasis. It's not as though the sannyasi should not read the Bhagavad Gita, but there is a certain focus. And for example, in Swami Maheshanandaji's books, what I find is a great deal of emphasis for sannyasis. To the general public also, he has both kinds of books. But his sense of, his sense of detail instructions at the very end of it, and I consider myself, having studied Vedanta all my life, to be qualified. And so his knowledge, his language rather, not knowledge, his language, I'm very sensitive to, because he knows how to appeal to people that have been studying this for a while and still have not quite reached the Jivan Mukti stage. So all I'm saying is different acharyas have different emphasis. Bhagavad Gita is a beautiful Vedantic text because it addresses the struggles of a person active in one's life. And Arjuna symbolizes that. Also, another thing which we have talked about is the Arjuna's character is a very beautifully drawn, very, very specifically drawn to bring out. How do I say that? Why do I say that? So because it's very interesting. If you are, supposing you are not an ethical person, you are prone to lying and you're prone to cutting corners and hurting others, not a good person, and you are unhappy. In fact, that's what happens, is that the people who have a certain criminal minds, who have tendencies to do wrong things, are unhappy people. And they, out of that, they want to do something to relieve them of this unhappiness. So if it is a person is not a good person, has a lifestyle which is not very ethical and so on and so forth, then the instructions to that person to become happy are very simple. That please resort to dharma. Ultimately, the dharma is the source of joy for us. We don't say that be ethical for anybody else's sake. That is true also. But for your own sake, be an ethical person. You will discover a certain joy. You've not discovered it yet. So in the case of an unethical person, if he's unhappy, then the instructions are very simple. Be ethical. Arjuna symbolizes a person who is already very ethical, a very good person. I mean, you cannot find a better character, strong, kind, successful. You can just paint a best picture. And yet he is unhappy. So now we have an interesting situation that really all the other instructions are meant for people who are not completely ethical. But here's a person who's done everything the right way in his life, and yet he's not a happy person. And so, in a way, this is a very beautifully drawn character, and we can all relate to it, in the sense that it's very possible that some of us may have streaks of unethicalness. But by and large, I think the people that we deal with and so on are good people, ethical people. But yet we have not found the source of happiness in our life, and we question about it. Why is that? What else do I have to do? And so, in the I haven't even started the third chapter yet. I'm just giving you some. Hopefully I won't take that much time, because I wanted to finish the third chapter today. So there, in fact, just to give you an idea, there's, as you know, there are 4 purusharthas. So this is called artha, kama, dharma, and moksha. Those are the 4 purushartha. Purushartha means the ones that human beings seeks answer for. The 4 things that we do in our lives. So one is artha. Artha means prosperity, things, solace in money and house, cars, and so properties. This is called artha, because that's an important source of happiness in our life. To have security now and security later, it's a very important form. Then once our security is ensured, then we will go for fun. And so it has nothing to do with security, but we enjoy. So this is kama. So we enjoy music and movies and so on and so forth. So that is the kama. So the purusharthas are in 2 segments. One is artha and kama is one. Then comes dharma and moksha. In dharma and moksha, the main emphasis is on ethical living and selfless living, because there also is a discovered source of joy that is not apparent on the surface. So when you start to become more open to helping others, you begin to see that really I feel good. All this life I was just thinking that I should just do everything to myself, and I found that to be the source of joy. But now I'm finding that if I share things with others and so on, I feel very joyful. So this is the dharma. So what I wanted to say, and I think that is the last thing that I'll do before I go to the chapter, that in the Vedas, the dharma and moksha are of one of 2 kinds. One is dharma and moksha, which is in the future. So in fact, if you look at and this is true for all religions, that really when you go to church and to pray, or you go to a temple, or to a mosque or something, then the idea is that may my future please be taken care of. Whatever it is in this life is okay. I understand that I have problems and so on. If you can help me in this life, that's also good. But I want to really now look to the future. And that means a certain understanding that life continues, that there is in fact God, etc., that Atma continues in form of the other. Because that is endemic to the belief of dharma. So the Vedas also says, yes, it is true. you can actually do some things to ensure your happiness, and eventually they say krama mukti. So krama mukti means moksha from one swarga to another slowly. It is possible. You can become. It's not jivan mukti. It is krama mukti, but it's possible. So both dharma and moksha are possible, but it is postponed to the future. The second part of what the Vedas say is that dharma and moksha is not in the future, but right here while you're alive, as a human being. And that is something unique to Vedanta. We don't see that anywhere else. And so, in the case of Arjuna, the instructions given in the Bhagavad Gita is the second kind, which is dharma and moksha now, not later. And both have characteristics. The one now is tougher, but possible and recommended to be. Don't waste the life and keep for the future. You don't know what's going to happen. Do it now, because it is there, it is possible. It's going to take a lot of work on your part, but do it now. So the character of Arjuna is carefully drawn as an ethical good person. In fact, an ethical and a good person is essential for dharma and moksha in this life itself. You cannot do it. Otherwise, you have to go through all these other stages first. But then once you do that, then don't postpone it. Do it now. So that's the essence of the Bhagavad Gita. It is meant for those of us that choose to have an ethical life, and we want to inquire more into what's the end, why, how. So that's just to close the loop. It's meant for those people who say, I'm ethical but not happy. I thought that once I become ethical, then I'll be completely happy. So Vedanta says, no, not necessary, because you may be ethical, but you still have dependencies on so many other things. If you think you are the body, then the body's dharmas will be your dharmas. And the body's dharma is it's going fast. You're growing older faster than you think. It's going to get destroyed, and you'll get destroyed in the process. So it's not surprising that an ethical person also is unhappy, because you have lent your very existence to things that are perishable. How can you be happy? So just because you're ethical, and yes, the normal problems of being unethical have been conquered. We understand that. You're relatively happy, but you cannot be absolutely happy. So therefore, the character of Arjuna and the very nature of the teaching of Bhagavad Gita is meant for those people. So there, now we can go to the focus on the third chapter. So here, the seed of the third chapter was sown in the second chapter, where a vision of freedom had started by the teaching of the 11th verse of the second chapter. Ashocyan anvashochastvam. He says there is nothing to grieve. There is no need to be unhappy. Once you understand yourself completely, you are confused about the life and about yourself, that's what's creating the problems for you. Once that confusion is removed, then the second chapter ends with the 72nd verse of the second chapter, which is Esha Brahmi Sthitihi, that this is the Sthita Prajna, the one who is achieved the knowledge. How does that person feel? How does that person behave? That was summarized. So the beginning was knowledge, the end was the result of the knowledge, and in between, in the second chapter, Karma Yoga was introduced. So now this third chapter begins by a question by Arjuna as the very seed of the very essence of the third chapter, which is, wait a second, you are confusing me, my teacher. On one hand, you say that jnanam is what you need to do, and you say that I'm very dear to you, and you are not telling me to pursue jnanam. You are asking me to be involved in this bloody war. This I don't understand. Am I not dear to you? And if I am, why don't you, on one hand you say that jnanam, knowledge, is the way to go, and on the other hand you are engaging me in the karma. Why? What's the reason for it? Because, so I think in one of the verses he says, mohayasi eva. So he doesn't accuse him for deliberately confusing me. He says there's something not right here because I seem to be confused by what you're telling me. What's going on? That's the question from the beginning. Then Krishna says, I'm happy you asked me that question. I was waiting for you. Jnanam, and so Arjuna said, tell me definitively which of the two I should pursue, jnanam or karma. So Krishna says, I'm glad you asked me, because in your question is the seed of confusion, because those two are not the same. It's like, saying, Swami Paramarthananda gives this example, that should I wear the upper garment or the lower garment? Which one is better? This is a useless question. You can say, out of the two upper garments, you go to a shop and you can tell your spouse which one looks better on me. That's an okay. But you cannot say, should I wear pants or should I wear shirts? You need to wear both. So karma and jnanam are completely different categories. You cannot compare them. And so then Krishna explains that karma is the means to the end, which is jnanam. And so they are not comparable, they are two stages. This is an important lesson from This is one of the essence of the Bhagavad Gita. People say, for example, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, what are the three different paths? It's very possible that the paths may be there, but ultimately is the understanding. And if understanding is the ultimate thing, then you can say that because of my ability, because of who I am as born as, I may emphasize study over puja. All are necessary. Or I may say that I really love singing songs and becoming emotional. That's something does for me. And yes, I do have to study, but I really enjoy doing that. Then that's fine, that's Bhakti Yoga. Or you can say that really I am much more outgoing and I want to act out according to the ethical nature of it. And so keeping the jnanam as the main one, that's okay too. So all three of them are sub-paths. But really speaking, you need to understand your reality the way it is that you do not understand today. And there is no other way but to know. So they are not comparable in that sense. So there Krishna also then says, so this is given, so if you want to make a note of it, so the question of Arjuna, that the very first verse which says, Jayasi chet karmanaha te mata buddhir janardana tatkim karmani ghore mam niyojasi Keshava. Why are you asking me to fight when you in fact says that from karma buddhi is jayasi, is better? And you seem to confuse me. Mohayasi iva me. And so Bhagavan says, listen, there are two basic ways for you to gain moksha. One is Jnana Yoga and the other one is Karma Yoga. So here Bhakti is also folded into Karma Yoga because it requires some doing, mental and so on, but doing. So he says those are the two main paths that we have. And from the very beginning, this has been exactly the same thing. And so there he could say, now, you can say, now from verse number 18 to 20, so up to 7 was the setup of the Arjuna's question, then the preliminary answer by Krishna and so on. So that's the setup, 1 to 7. From verse number 8 to 20 was the details of Karma Yoga. And in this, he pointed out that it is true that the preparation for jnanam can take different forms. It's true. You can do that. So, for example, you can take a lifestyle which is really study, exclusive of your life's duties. And so, in fact, if you take sannyasa, most of the sannyasa, the people that take, are not, so the sannyasi are one of two types. Most of the sannyasis are what is called Vividisha sannyasi. Vividisha sannyasi means Veditum Ichcha, means that I want to know the truth and I don't want to do anything else. I don't want to go to movies. I don't want to work. I don't want to support a family. This is what I want to do. But they also don't know the truth. This is called Vividisha. Vividisha means the desire to know. A sannyasi who has a desire to know. Then a few of them becomes Vidvat sannyasi. So Vidvat sannyasis are those that are Jivan Muktas. They have reached the ultimate aim. They all look the same. They're all wearing Gerua Kapra and they teach and so on and so forth. 99% of them are Vividisha sannyasis. Very few are Vidvat sannyasis. It's possible they may get one, but they also have to strive. So what Krishna is saying is that is also a lifestyle. A lifestyle where they have completely given up the family. In fact, it is, as the Christians say, it's a born again. That's why they're given a brand new name. And they say that usually, I would say most of the time, you should not ask a sannyasi about their previous life. It's not a good thing to do. How many brothers do you have? And who was your, all that is gone. If he chooses to talk about it, like in Swami Vidyatmananda's case, it's very interesting. When I got to know him, I had no idea. The only thing I knew about him was that, like me, he was an engineer like me. We are about the same age. And he was in New York, I was in California. And both of us met Swami Chinmayanand first. Both of us then met Swami Dayanand about the same time. Then our lives diverged. I was already married at that time, so my allegiance was to my wife. He was unmarried and he followed Swami Dayanandji, got the course from him in Bombay. And as he explained, usually this is what happens at the end of the course. Everybody has an exit interview with Swamiji. So Swamiji will ask them, so what do you want to do? And we have, interestingly, there's a local teacher here, Narayan Ramaswamy is his name. Wonderful person. So he was Swami Vidyatmananda's classmate in the same course. And so in the exit interviews, everybody went to Swami Dayanandji and Swamiji said, so, are you happy? He says, yeah, it was wonderful. So what do you want to do? So Ramaswamy told him, Swamiji, because Ramaswamy has a PhD in biophysics or something like this. So he says, Swamiji, I want to really pursue my knowledge a little bit more and practice. Swamiji said, okay, that's fine. So Ramaswamy continued to work as as a scientist, and then as things would have it, he met this. So Ramaswamy then became Swami Dayanandji's assistant in our course. See, he was Swami Vidyatmananda's classmate in Mumbai, which was the course before mine. But then in our course, Ramaswamy also became Swamiji's assistant. He taught Sanskritam. He's a great scholar of Sanskritam. And once in a while, he would even take Vedanta classes. And he got married to one of the students, a Western lady, Candy, and who was our classmate also. And then he settles here in Palo Alto and teaches Vedanta now and then, but he has become a householder. Swami Vidyatmananda, on the other hand, when Swamiji asked him, what do you want to do? He says, I have no idea. You tell me what I should do. So Swamiji said, we don't have a teacher in Ahmedabad, and will you please go there? So Swamiji said, fine. So he became a brahmachari and studied and practiced slowly, and he's become so good at what he teaches. So when I met Swamiji, I knew about that background, that he met Swami Chinmayanand and so on and so forth, from Ramaswamy, I think. But other than that, I had no idea, and I don't want to have an idea. Only Swamiji mentions once in a while that, when I came to the East Coast, and then before I go to the ashram, my brother picks me up. Or sometimes his brother calls him. But he has to tell me. I will be very inappropriate for me to ask him, Swamiji. And he tells me when he stays with me, he talks about it, that, how his childhood was. It's only up to him. If he wants to share it with me, not for me to know. So they say that when you meet a Swami, do not ask about their previous life. It's like you all I have previous lives. We don't ask each other about who were you in your previous life. We don't know and we don't talk about it. No need to talk about it. So the lifestyles are different. So Krishna says that there are two types of, so this is what he's saying in verse number 3, right? So he says, Lokesmin vividha nishtha pura prokta mayanagha jnana yogena sankhyanam karma yogena yoginam. So he says there are two ways of becoming a Jivan Mukta. If you are ready, you will become a sadhu and you will pursue this knowledge as a renunciate. But this is less than 0.1%. 99.9% you will become a normal householder, marry, or even not marry. You can just be a single person, doesn't matter. Marriage is not, they say that if you're not going to become a renunciate, then you should marry. You should marry because the fulfillment of carrying progeny is a very important part of, so all of our acharyas will say that don't get married unless you want to have children. Very important to have children. Because the continuation of life and the knowledge and the training and the parentage is part of your debts to the Lord and also a path to the growth of yourself. Or you can be single and you just say that I just want to contribute to the society, that's fine. If you do that, then follow Karma Yoga. And both the Karma Yogi and the Jnana Yogi, Sankhya Yogi will reach the same point. Reach the same point. And Krishna says, even a question, should I be a Jnana Yogi or a Karma Yogi? If you ask the question, you should become a Karma Yogi. That means you have certain doubts. Like in the case of Swami Viditatmana, there's a beautiful example, really. And he was telling me this also came from him. I didn't say, how did you become this or nothing like that. I just keep quiet, and if he talks, then I listen. He said that when Swamiji asked me on the exit interview, what do you want to do? He says, I have no idea. What do you want me to do? Very beautiful. He cannot say, well, I'm considering working in my office, or which of the two should I do? If you say that, forget it. That means you're not ready. You're not ready. Then you should go to Karma Yoga. And so he says that both of them reach the same point. But if you want to reach the same point, then your lifestyle should be like that of a karma yogi, not as a karmi. Big difference. Big difference. And that's the whole chapter, and the whole thing is now devoted to that. And so then you use, so the karma yoga is meant for people that already have a pretty good idea of the need for moksha, the possibility of moksha, and the need for moksha, and how to get it. They pretty much have an idea. If you don't have it, then please develop it. Develop it. And then use karma. Karma means your actions in your life of acting, achieving, relating to people, all of those kinds of things, all included in the word karma. Then the karma becomes an instrument to fulfill. It's very much like once you know what you have to do. Remember that example that we had been given? I think there were some new people that perhaps had not seen that. That, for example, there's a big difference between traveling for your own enjoyment and traveling to fulfill a specific function. Like the example that we took was that supposing that happened to, certainly to me and to many of you, that if you get the news that your parents are, one of your parents is very ill, and so now you make travel arrangements, and how you get there, how much money it takes, whether 2 stops, which airline you go through, doesn't matter. You want to get there as quickly as possible. Whereas in the other case, you don't have any specific, your only desire is to have fun. Totally different. Now you will book in, you don't want 2 stops to go to, let's say you want to go to India, and then you say, well, you can go to Finland, and like this Finnish air is now coming up, and this is, no, I just want, so it's totally different between them. So karma can be done for your own fun, which is what we do, or it should be done with moksha in mind. So this is explained in verse number 8 to up to 20. And then in verse number 10, the second part of 20, all the way up to 29, there was an issue dealt, which is that once you become a jnani, once you have already accomplished, what are your duties towards karma? And there it was pointed out that even those people need to continue to do karma. Not because it is not for their own joy, it's out of joy. They talked about it. Then comes probably the most important word of the whole chapter, which we'll spend a little bit more time on, which summarizes the nature of a karma yoga. That is verse number 30. We'll spend some time on it. In fact, that's what we will do. Mai sarvani karmani samyasya adhyatma chetasa nirashir nirmamo bhutva yudhyasva vigata jvaraha. This is the crux of the karma yoga, and we can really spend the remaining time just on that. So there are 5 things talked about in this, and 5 things that we should keep in mind as we lead a life of karma yoga. Okay? 5 things. First one is Atma Chetasa. Adhyatma Chetasa. So, Adhyatma Chetasa in this context, it has a couple of different meanings. In this context, it means please understand that your life's journey is a spiritual journey, not any other material journey. Real progress is spiritual. Spiritual here means one which is lasting, one which is absolute, one which is most worth pursuing. You know, that's even just an aspect of that. For example, take, so it's not as though you don't have other goals. Like one of the goals is earning enough money. Important. All those should be considered to be secondary. Why should they be considered secondary? Because the nature of the goals of those other material things is highly unpredictable. It's not going to last and really do not belong to you. This is what, they said that, please, if you do not get too attached to Lakshmi, please remember that she is wedded to Lord Vishnu. So you can enjoy her company, but don't go home with her, because Lord Vishnu will say, yes, she's my wife, what are you doing with her? So if you think of money as this is mine, this is mine, you've got problems. You've got problems. You will make that soon, the money will be parted from you sooner or later. So enjoy the benefits of money, but don't ever think about it as yours. It is like borrowed money from Ishvara. So the material goals should be secondary because they come and go. Whereas spiritual goal, which is called Adhyatma Vidya, is yours to keep. You know, even on a relative level, this is what is the Sthula Sharira and Sukshma Sharira. Okay? Sthula Sharira is given up in this life. You know, your body is burned, buried, or whatever. Sukshma Sharira carries you from this life to the next one. So any improvement you do, this is why it is called Antakarana. Antakarana and Bahishkarana. So money is a Bahishkarana. That also is it is an instrument for enjoyment. But the instrument that will carry you to the next life is Antakarana. If you spend time in becoming more tolerant of others, you become more patient. That, because all those are good things for your own happiness. Those things you can keep for the next life. But money, yes, enjoy it, but you have no idea whether you'll keep it or not. Then you just say that pretty soon you accumulate the money and your brother-in-law will enjoy it after you're gone. And he's the one person you don't want him to enjoy. I don't want my brother-in-law. He's not my brother, he's my wife's brother. And he will enjoy. After you're gone, your wife will then give it half the money to her family. So your money will be gone anyway. So any of the secondary pursuits are inferior to the spiritual. Anyway, I'm going to go. I don't want to spend any more time. So the first one is make sure that the spiritual pursuit becomes primary pursuit. Adhyatma chetasa. Then, second one is Mai sarvani karma sanyasya. Number 2 is Ishvara arpana buddhi. Means do not think of duties as pleasant or unpleasant. You give it to me, consider me as of what you do. The example that we gave about I think Swami Heshanji's example is beautiful. It's simple but very beautiful. That if you have a shopkeeper and you have a going on, and you ask this person, hey, get this thing from something. He works for you. You say, well, it's too hot. Why don't I go it after in the evening? He says, to be done now. He says, no, I don't feel like going. Serious trouble. He may not fire you right away, but as soon as he has time, he's going to look for someone else. So, to do things that are pleasant to you is not the right way. So all you have to do is to recognize that there is an owner of the shop. That is required. A person who doesn't know, it might be that there's supposing there is a chaprasi who's doing all these things and he's supposed to be doing all this, and he doesn't know who the owner is, and better go. Who are you to tell me? But if the shop is him, the big Seth who employs, including him, then you will say, yes, whatever. I know it's not very pleasant for me, it's very hot, you have to ride a bicycle, but I have to do it. Because you think about your own goodness, and so on, you don't think about how pleasant it is. So the key thing is, Mai sarvani karmani means I have to know there is a owner of my life. There are laws followed. It is not arbitrary. And And in fact, the owner's swarupa, the nature of the funny part of this ownership, is none other than my own swarupa. So to really become totally giving up the whole thing is to own the whole thing. It's a very funny situation. There was I remember there was a spiritual teacher, Western spiritual teacher, Ram Das. You may have heard of him. He used to be a professor at Harvard, and then all of this psychedelic drug and so on. Then he LSD, and right. So then he was a student of some in India, right? And so after I had already gotten introduced to Vedanta, when I came back from it, there was a lecture by him in Santa Cruz. So I thought I'll just go listen to him. I remember this. He was a good person the way he taught. He says, the thing that Vedanta teaches you is you do not own the whole thing until you give up the whole thing. Beautiful. So, it's then used to say that if you want to catch a monkey, monkeys are very hard to catch. So what you do is that you put some very desirable nuts in a surahi, in kind of a vessel that has a very narrow neck. So what this monkey does is he cannot resist having nuts. So he puts his hand, he doesn't have the nuts in it, it goes like. But when he catches up the nuts and he has to pull it up, he can't. Now it is in a very strange situation. He doesn't want to give up the nuts, and he cannot get his hand out. So the people are waiting for him, they just catch him from at that point. So the best way to do if you want to become free is to give up. Only then you will be free. This is what Ramdas was saying. So he also exactly the same saying that it's not until you give up your responsibility to me will you gain freedom. And it's very simple. In the case of the journey that I talked about, is that you give up any options. Tell the airline or your travel agent, I don't care how you do it. Get me to India as soon as possible. And the person says, well, there's this way. He says, I told you not to bother me. Tell me what to do and I'll just do it. So this is the more complex form of the life, is that. And so then you find that it is not difficult to know what I need to do. This is true for everything in my do, including the food I take, including the things that I have things. I do it without question. And if I have some fun doing it, that's fine. If not, that's fine too, because I have to do it. So that's the number two. The first one is to find the spiritual goal. Number two is Ishvara Arpana Buddhi. So here it is also could be called as worship to the Lord. Worship of the Lord, like in the case of the shopkeeper, the person, the trustee or whoever, the manual worker, he will say, you know what, as far as I'm concerned, and this is what happens in India. We also have a lady that comes for our house. My wife's brother, she comes to our house for cleaning also. Wonderful person, Tina. And her relationship with us is so beautiful. I mean, she just loves the whole family and gives expensive gifts to the kids on their birthdays. We keep telling her, Christina, don't spend any time. We have to end up giving her some more money. Because she thinks of us, and we've really taken very good care of her. And so she thinks of us as just the ultimate family, 2 or 3 families. And her attitude of working with us and so on is so beautiful. Never lock the home. We just, whenever she comes, it's always open. We leave money around. She's never touched a single penny in the last 20 years. So there it says, Isha Arpana Buddhi. You look up a whole world and say, this is your world. You tell me what to do and I'll be happy doing it. Number 2. Then the third one is Nirashi. So Adhyatma Chetasa was number 1. Mai Sarva Nirashi. Nirashi means, please understand that anything on your way, it's possible. We are not guaranteeing. Do not get disappointed. You cannot say, I tried Karma Yoga for 2 years and I am still the same. Nothing is happening to me. So from now on, forget about Karma Yoga. I'm just doing it for my own sake. Why do you say that? Because then you can give a long list. This happened, this happened, this happened. Hey, we didn't promise you that this is going to be a straightforward. This is a big test. Just happens. Just keep doing it. And so not expect that everything will be very pleasant or anything like this. And to get used to the unpleasantness sometimes is really the progress that you have to do. What you will find is that what was very intolerable by you at one time. Remember this this famous joke that my wife is tired of my telling the same joke to everybody. So there was this guy who, I think I might have told you this, so forgive me. I only have like 5 or 6 jokes, so I don't know what else to do. So there was this guy that went to an astrologer. His friend told him that he's a very good guy. I think he will, if you want to know what's going on, so on and so forth. So he went to the astrologer. He said, so the astrologer said, looks like you're about 40 years old. He says, oh, that's wonderful. And he says, you've had a very miserable life. He says, how did you know that? This is so true. Absolutely. And your health problem, he says, this is a guy, I cannot believe it. So he says, well, but I'm interested to know next 40 years. He says, the next 40 years will be so much better. Really? What will change? He says, actually, nothing will change. You will just get more used to it. So this is what is called Nirashi. So Nirashi means it's not as though things are going to become absolutely straightforward, but your ability to withstand it will get better. Nirashi. Then comes number 4, which is Nirmamaha. Nirmamaha. And so Nirmamaha is just the opposite of Nirashi. How is it the opposite? Because Nirmamaha means that when you've had successes, Nirashi is accented on disappointments. Nirmamaha are accented on successes. If you have successes, please avoid the tendency to say, see, I'm a great guy. I can do things. I'm telling you, I figured it all out. Other people are all confused, but I am very clear about it. And my life is really becoming much better, and I am a smart person. Oh, wonderful. I am a great guy. As soon as you say that, Ishvara will make sure that your sense of pride, etc., is broken. Because it's a false sense of pride. It's all sense of pride. So nirmamaha means that when success comes, don't take full credit. You may take some credit, but there's a lots of different aspects to it that concluded with you that. So nirmamaha. Number 5 and the last one is Vigata Jwaraha. Vigata Jwaraha means please lead with a life of mental poise. Stay even keel. You have a choice of disturbed or to become very elated, and you need of elation. So is short-lived, and problems also are short-lived. Be aware of the fact that you are in fact independent of both of them, and see how they come